Awesome. Welcome to This Week in Typosquatting, a new cyber threat intelligence podcast created by OE6ML API. I'm your host, Alex François, head of content at OE6ML API. And today it's my pleasure to have Ed Gibbs with us. So Ed is our technical account manager. He has over 20 years of experience in security research and business development. So hey Ed, how are you today?
Great. Thanks for the introduction, Alex, and it's a pleasure to be here.
It's very nice to have you. So, I think there's been a lot happening recently in the US at the news level with the presidency. There's been a lot of news. So, I was looking up on Google Trends about terms like Trump, Biden, and so on. And there has been obviously a lot of activity at some point in November and most recently. Do you think there will be any kind of impact on domain registrations?
Well, I think there will be. I think what you'll see is a continual rise in registrations as the new Biden administration sets in, and people become more aware of his presidency, and being able to register these domains that they're going to get creative with and things will come out. There's no doubt. I thought there would actually be more during the um, pre-election process, right? And from what we were able to observe, things like Trump, Biden votes, some of your typical keywords appear in domains, but they also appear even in the subdomains. Sometimes an equal amount. And it's really interesting because there is no registration for subdomains, right? You could pick even AWS and Azure or some known subdomain and that has some longevity to it and create all the subdomains that you want and redirect people to those. So I think we're going to see an increase in that respect. And it's everyone's guess as to why these people are actually creating these domains. But what these domains and subdomains, what they're going to be used for, that remains to be seen. There's no clear indication a lot of times when these domains are created. They may be legitimate, or a lot of times they're typosquatting or domain parking, if you will. And or they're going to end up in the malicious feed somewhere, or marked as malicious. We simply don't know what drives the behavior of these types of registrations. So it'll be interesting to find out. But the bulk domain registration, like I said, we'll continue to see that on the rise. We see it every day. But again, it comes back to what's really driving it. And of course, there's nothing more profound than the subject of the presidency right now.
And I totally agree with you. We just don't know yet what these domains might end up being used for. And I was researching a bit further into the location of some of these domains. So the election is a very hot topic right now in the U.S. So my expectation would be that a lot of these domains would be registered by registrant in the US, and that's the case. Like we have, I think, about 70% of the domains we've identified this week registered in the US, but you have other destinations, surprisingly. You have some domains that were registered in Panama, in Canada, in the Netherlands. Four of them were even registered in the Russian Federation. Isn't that a bit strange? Wouldn't you expect these guys to be principally out of the US? Is there a good explanation why some people would register these domains if they are not based in the US?
Yeah, it's interesting when you break down the countries, right? Take, for example, Panama. There's a registry down there that is a privacy shield, and we see them quite frequently. It's anyone's guess as to why they would register in Panama. Perhaps it's for domain parking again. It could be a redirect to another site or something. We simply, again, don't know what these domains' actual intent are. Four of them appeared in the Russian Federation. That's rather interesting. We'll dive into that a little bit further in this conversation, into one of the domains domains that we were able to isolate. But we're on a global scale, and you're going to see these domains appear all over the world, and domainers, of course, are going to take advantage of that.
Definitely, definitely. And well, somehow I was also curious to look at the IP addresses beyond these domains, and pretty much the same story here. Like a lot of them in the US, but also a few of them were in Australia or Canada, some of them in Germany or in France. So I think it goes back very much to what you are saying. Like we live very, very much in a global scale, and I think the US presidency might be very central to the US, but it's very much of a global event that everyone in the world is looking at.
That's right. And, when you say 53 in the US, I bet the large majorities are behind some CDN or cloud proxy. For example, one of the things that we commonly see every day on a daily basis is the use of the most prominent one out there, Cloudflare. And that's going to give you a US IP address. And then what happens behind Cloudflare, behind that proxy, where it really the content points or the IP address points to that content, we simply don't have visibility into.
Definitely, we'll have, I suppose, to look further into this. Maybe there are some changes there that may happen in the IP addresses in the coming weeks that could be interesting to pay attention to that. Who knows? I was also looking into the domain name and subdomain trends for strings that are not just Trump, Biden, election or vote, but like far more specific string. Like we've heard a lot about Proud Boy, Antifa, Stop the Steal, and I think domainers are very also looking into these kind of strings, and they've registered domains, and there's been also subdomains containing these strings. Like does that surprise you? Is it anything new, or does that add any value in our research?
Well, I think it points to the fact that domainers or people that have interest in this topic are using it to benefit. Whether that again is to just drive traffic to a site or something, or take advantage of some malicious payload or something, they're going to use these keywords that are the trending subject of today.
Definitely. So let's see again how this is going to evolve. I know very recently we started to see a lot of new subdomains containing the string Antifa. This string in particular, compared to Proud Boy Stop the Steal, has driven more attention. I can't really say why that might be the case, but this might be interesting to look at as well. Um, Now, you talked a bit earlier about these few domains that were registered in the Russian Federation, and that could be of interest. I looked them up on VirusTotal today, and so far they weren't flagged. But I would imagine that there's probably gonna be some kind of security provider who's gonna flag them by default. I mean, these contain election words, but they are based in Russia, which has been publicized to sometimes interfere even with elections. So, am I right to wait for something to happen there, or am I wasting my time possibly?
Well, the election's over with, right? Joe Biden has officially won. There's no question about that. There's no contesting it. The fact that these were created 9 days ago in Russia, they are using Cloudflare, so that is a US IP address, makes you wonder whether or not this was actually for the US election, or if it was for some other country election. We simply don't know. Russian influence into the U.S. elections is also very real. But considering that we are past that, I would turn more towards stop the steal or insurrection. But what we've seen also is these people, I think, will move more into the dark web than being visible out on the internet. So of course we'll lose visibility at that point. But the Russian thing is interesting, right? For example, live result election.space, live result election.website, live result election.tech, and live result election.site all point to Cloudflare. And they are privacy protected under the using a Russian Federation as a registering company, and really they're not flagged anywhere yet. So it'll be interesting to see where those actually go and when they become live.
Definitely. So thank you, Ed, for this very nice conversation. We will definitely keep an eye on those domains and the others we've mentioned here in the podcast. If you are listening to us and you are a security researcher, architect, or product development people working on some of the biggest security issues, we are very happy to share the intelligence that we've gathered so far this week. Like, feel free to get in touch with Ed at oe6mlepi.com, and stay tuned for more episodes of This Week in Typosquatting created by OE6mlepi.